So a quick raise of hands, who thought I'd be taller? Nice, thanks. So I've heard I'm your best friend today. Because when I get done running my suck, you guys get to go home. So I only have about 2 rules. Just listen, because I'm not going to tell you anything you don't know. And second, I need 4 of you to ask a question. Either about the SEAL teams, about the military. I was halfway decent soccer player, you could ask about that. And anything else. But only 4, and then you guys get to go home. Oh, let me see. So, how's everyone doing today?
Great!
I said amazing. Why amazing? Oh, nice. Who are you playing? Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you playing? What's your position?
Center.
Nice. Obviously. Hey, who knows the top 4 paid positions in the NFL? Right quarterback, who's second?
Center.
Not center. Right tackle, right? Who's third? It's a toss-up between the defensive back and maybe defend a right tackle. The 4 highest paid guys are center, right? Kicker's not bad because they got the most longevity, but center's the highest paid. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about my service in the military. For those of you that might be thinking about that, it doesn't have to be about being a Navy SEAL, right? I just want to talk about the military for a second, because I didn't get that opportunity when I was a young 17-year-old or 18. No one told me what I was going to do with the rest of my life. There's no internet, right? There's very little social media, if any, no computers, no nothing. You kind of had to figure it out on your own from word of mouth. And that's really nerve-wracking, right? You guys can go on and do some research based off the skills that you might have, and you can sort of choose a path. Back then, I hate to sound like the old guy, but back then it was kind of on our own. And so one day, I was graduating, I was super poor, right? And so when you're super poor in Colorado, they give you this orange card to eat lunch. And it was very embarrassing. It's like this big orange card, this sort of stamp that, hey, that guy lives in a trailer. I did. And I get a little emotional talking about it, trying to understand where that took me, but that helped shape who I was. And so I always last in line, because I don't want any of my buddies who had a lot of money, right, because we lived in sort of a resort town, I didn't want them to see that I had this orange card. And so I'm back in line, I go meet my best friend, I'm living in his basement, my mom had moved, and he just says, hey boy, I joined the Navy. And I might cuss now and then, so if I do, I apologize. I said, what the hell, you joined the Navy, you didn't even talk to me, you're my best friend, I cheated off you in geometry, you left me out hanging. And he's like, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. And I met this recruiter, I drove to the mall by myself, and he convinced me. And that was like sticking a pin in me, because you guys all have best friends here, and if they don't share something with you like that, it's kind of a big deal, especially on a life-changing event. So I get in my big dad's car that got about 8 miles to the gallon, and I had to drive 60 miles to the nearest Navy recruiter, and I walk in, I'm super intimidated. I'm not a big guy, I was 155 pounds back then, and taking all the scenery in, and pictures of places all over the world. It smells like old cigars, and I sit down in my chair to wait my turn, and there's this magazine that talked about the Navy SEALs. And I started thumbing. I didn't know what a Navy SEAL was, right? I didn't have Google. So I started looking through this magazine. I'm like, holy crap, this is kind of what I think I want to do. And so instantly my spirits came up. I got a way to go now, and I still don't know what path I'm going to take, but at least I think I have a direction. And so I grab a magazine and I go into my turn. Big boatswain's mate there, and sit in this leather chair with a handlebar mustache. He smelled like those cheap cigars. And he sizes me up, and you can tell that look on his face. Like he sizes you up, and he's already made an impression about you. And we all do it, right? There's nothing wrong with that. You guys do it every day. When you meet someone new, you kind of size them up. Like, hey, that person's this, or this person's that, based off what they dress, or what they wear, or like their hair. You kind of size them up, and that's just our culture, right? That's nothing wrong with that. We just have to learn not to do that in a negative way all the time. But this guy sized me up. And so I reach up, I shake his hand. He didn't even get out of his chair. And he said, this is what I want to do. I slid the magazine over to him. I said, I want to be a Navy SEAL. I said, I think that's what I want to do. And he had this long pause. He's looking at me. And he said, no. So think about that for a minute. What I just went through the last 24 hours, these up and down emotions, and now I'm sitting across the first Navy guy I've ever met in my life with my dream in my hand, and he says no. And it was like sticking a pin in me. I'd never forget it. Now, just think about that for a moment on which path my life could have taken had I let that guy, that overweight boatswain's mate, and was probably in that position because he wasn't a very good boatswain's mate, change my life. So I'll get to that in a minute on what he did that's changed my life, because I cannot thank him enough. Right? And I'll get to that in just a second. So I leave the office, and kind of disheveled, and I said, well, I'm going to go anyway, right? So sign me up for whatever job is available. Happened to be electrical engineer, not electrical engineer, an aviation electrician. The longest freaking school in the Navy. It's like 6 months long, up in Memphis, Tennessee. And so I'm still upbeat, right? Because I know I want to be a SEAL. I just don't know how to do that now, because I'm now signed up to work on airplanes of all things. So, I go to the A school. I finally meet a Navy SEAL recruiter, and he takes me in. He takes me under his wing and said, hey, Boyd, if you work out with me for the next 6 months of this school, you stay away from the bars, you study, you graduate first in your class as an aviation electrician, I will get your orders changed. Now, my spirits are back up. I'm all excited, right? So, sure enough, he was true to his word. I graduated first in my class. I would have been a damn fine aviation electrician on the planes that no longer exist, by the way. But it wasn't to be. I got my orders to SEAL training. And this will be the last story, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys. So I get to SEAL training, right? And back then, it was, we had this little barracks room with bunk beds, 4 bunk beds. I go walking in the room, I'm with a bunch of badasses now. I got my sea bag on my shoulder. And it's like this, who's seen Forrest Gump? That's the way it was for me. Seats taken. Seats taken. Seats taken. There was 2 Naval Academy guys there. They were on a swim team. And there was a Pennsylvania All-American wrestler. They sized me up. They looked at me and said, what the hell is this guy going to do? There's 120 of us in that SEAL class. 120. 16 of us graduated. Our first test, we're going to go swim underwater. We have to swim underwater for 50 meters holding our breath. I had never seen the ocean. Here I am at SEAL training. I've never seen the ocean. I've never shot a gun. I certainly never held my breath for 50 meters. Any swimmers in here? That's a long freaking way, right? But we have to do it sideways. You have to do a flip, go to the side, and come back. And so I said, well, shit, that's not hard. Excuse my language. I'm just not coming up. It's not that hard. I'm just not coming up. Like, how hard could this be, right? Because I see what happens when you come up early. There's a bunch of guys sitting in the corner, with their thumb in their mouth, and everyone else that passed is over here, they're in their sweatpants, joking and smoking. So I don't come up. Get out. The 2 Naval Academy swimmers both quit that day. They quit. They rang the bell. If you're familiar with SEAL training, the only way you get out of SEAL training is there's this big bell that we carry everywhere we go. You ring it 3 times and you're gone. That's all you have to do. You do it in front of your peers, you're gone, and we never see you again. The bell was there in front of me. It was right there by the pool, and I could hear it ringing like crazy. And I'm like, why the hell are these guys ringing the bell? Like, I don't know why it's so hard. You just don't come up. And so anyway, we run back to the barracks, and now I have a friend, right? Pennsylvania wrestler's in my room. Now he wants to talk to me. He didn't talk to me for 3 weeks while we were prepping for BUDS training, but now I'm his friend. And anyway, the next test is a little harder for you kid from Colorado that's never seen the ocean, never really swam much, is they tie your hands together behind your back, they tie your feet together, and they throw you in the pool. And you have to do a bunch of stuff. Grab a mask, you got to swim, you got to bob them down. It's about 15 minutes long where your hands are tied up in the pool, and it's all to help build your confidence. It's really not that hard. I know some of you are like, what the hell? I don't want nothing to do with that. But if you just take a breath, go to the bottom of the pool, come up and take another breath, it's not that hard. You just do what you're told and you go. So anyway, long story short, I didn't quit, he did. So now I'm in the room by myself, and I got a chance to sit back and think about that for a minute. I'm in a room completely by myself. About 30 people quit that day, so now there's 90 left, and I'm the only one left in my room. And only 16 of us graduated out of that entire class. I'm the only one that ended up doing 28 years. And then, I can't ask that recruiter any more of a favor than what he did for me when he said no. Right? Because he put a drive in me that all of you guys have. Inside of you, maybe it's not hit yet, maybe you haven't found your passion, maybe you don't know what that passion is. But because he underestimated me, I made it my mission in life not just in the Navy, but out to prove everyone wrong. And so those were the only 3 times people have underestimated me. Those are too many stories to tell, but I want you guys to get out of here and have a good weekend, and hopefully take a couple of questions here in a second. So military life in general, this is for all military people. I have never had to worry about a paycheck my entire life, right, because we get paid. I've never had to worry about medical expenses my entire life. Eye exams, teeth, life insurance. I've got a base with tax-free malls, everything. So as a military life in general, no matter what you see on TV, it's what you make it, it's what job you choose. I chose a different one than what might be some of you that are thinking about it might choose. But I want you to think about what I just said as far as stability. They also paid for my undergrad degree. I never had to spend a penny to get my undergrad, and I only paid half of my master's degree because the Navy gave me grants. So just think about that for a minute for those of you that are contemplating it. It worked out really, really well for me. So that's all my story. I appreciate you listening to me. And before everyone's going to get out of here, good luck on your game, sir. All you guys out there, appreciate it. What's the first question, since we have 4 before you can go? Anyone? It's going to be a long day. Yes, sir. What's your name?
Augustine.
Augustine, nice to meet you, brother. What you got? Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I just don't know about that question.
What?
I just don't know about that question.
Why? You won't get in trouble by me.
We'll move on to the next one.
Okay, you can ask me that in private if you want, or get permission. Anyone else? Yeah, 4 questions, and then you guys get to go home. Yes, ma'am.
You played soccer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What position?
I was midfield because of my large stature. But no, I did get a couple offers to play soccer at a couple schools. I had a solid C+ average, and so I weighed my future income growth from a soccer player to C+ average, and that made the right choice. Sir, what position do you play? Yeah. I should have been more specific. What position do you play in football? Okay, what's your question?
Playing other sports in high school.
What's that?
Playing other sports.
I did. I was a varsity baseball player and a varsity ski team guy, because I grew up in Colorado, and I had varsity soccer as well, in my freshman all the way through. So that helped. You know, I could carry my own there, but if it wasn't for people helping me through my classes, I would probably still be in high school, I'm afraid. Yes, ma'am.
What was your toughest mission?
My toughest mission or my most important mission?
Both.
Those are 2 different questions, but you don't get credit for it. All right, so my most important mission, and if I get a little emotional, I apologize. Because I never shot a gun, and I never saw the enemy in this mission. Who's seen the movie Lone Survivor? All right, so it's a good movie. You're familiar with Marcus Luttrell. So I was at Afghanistan. It's my second tour there, second of 10. And my pager goes off, and I go into the command center, and they got a bunch of screens up the wall, as big as this wall here, and all of them are from a Predator drone, and they're looking at a burning wreckage on the side of the hill. And so I immediately knew what that meant, and I knew how significant that was. I just didn't know who it was or how many people were on it. So I asked a couple people, I said, have you seen any survivors? You know, no. And so anyway, my team's mission was we had to go up there and we had to secure the crash site. And we had to recover all those guys. Right? So they didn't teach me that in Colorado or SEAL training, how to put a grown brother, and you guys in this room know what brothers mean, whether it's a brother or sister, a grown brother of yours that you served time with into a body bag. And so that was really hard. But it was the most important mission I ever did in my life because I visited every one of those graves at Arlington, and so was their families. Right? So I was able to get those guys off the mountain out of doing a job they loved, and I was able to get them to a place their family could visit them. And so when people ask what's the toughest and the most important, it's probably the same mission because I never saw the enemy on that one, and they were all around us and they were shooting us all the time. But the fact I got all those 20 guys home, and we were able to get Marcus Luttrell, the only survivor, off the mountain, was important to me. that's my goal. Yes, sir.
I have 2 questions.
Okay. They only count as one though, because you're one person.
Okay. How many push-ups can you do, and will you take too much?
Like right now, in my age 52,
Like 10 years of push-up contest.
like a push-up contest, I'll pull a hamstring if I do that right now. So what's like you show up to buds, everyone thinks that a SEAL training recruit is instantly a badass, and that's not the case. You show up there and you might be in shape, but they have to build you up, right? So when we first get there, we're doing 500-meter swims, and a month later we do a mile, a month later we do 2 miles, and it's the same with push-ups. When you first get there, no. I mean, we could maybe try. How many can you do?
Me? You do a lot.
Well, lots of very big term.
You go around.
I don't know. We could try. All right, we'll get one more question, and then we'll embarrass myself with some push-up. Oh, I see some more hands. Yes, sir.
Why did you serve so many tours?
Because my unit deployed a lot, right? So I'm a government person now, so I can't say a lot of things, but the unit I was in at the time, we deployed all the time. And so I was over there about every 3 or 4 months, and we were incredibly busy, and there's a lot of bad guys. Yeah, so now that's why. That's kind of what, I was only home 6 months a year after 9/11. I was gone all the time. My lovely wife, who has cystic fibrosis, is my hero. For those of you who know what cystic fibrosis is, it's a genetic disease, and she's a badass, and we can look it up later. But anyway, she was my angel, and she somehow stuck it out with me. Our anniversary, 3-year anniversary is tomorrow, and yeah, she's kind of a badass in her own right. And I just elaborated on your question, as it was incredibly hard for me to leave that much, but also I'm incredibly proud as a U.S. service member and of my country to do that for us. Right? If you don't appreciate your country, then you're not going to appreciate what you do. Because the only way we can do what we do is because of the country. So you kind of have to appreciate it. Yes, we're kind of a mess right now, but you still have to appreciate it. I've been to 100 countries all over the world. This one's the best by far. Trust you. Some of the stuff we do here, you'd be shot and hung overseas for doing it. And we can do it here because we have our freedom, so just remember that. Yeah. I saw some hands way back here. Way up there, ma'am, I think.
I was just wondering how much psychological testing do we have to go through in the SEAL program?
It's a lot more now, thank God, because I might not have passed. No, they did a little bit. It's a lot more now. As I got my clearances, my top secret clearances, then it's a lot more intensive. But just to go to training, it wasn't much, but now it's, because it takes about $1 million per student to get them through training. So they want to try to get a return on that investment by making sure the right people get there, but the same percentage still quit and pass. It's very low, and that's the way it should be, right? You don't want people in Afghanistan, picking up your brothers and up the hill and then quitting on you when you're doing good things. So you want to make sure you're good to go. It's the same with football or soccer or volleyball. When you're out there, blood, sweat, and tears, and it's tied up in the 4th quarter or whatever, you want someone that's not going to quit on you. It's the same way in my world that I used to live in. So, anyone else?
Can you explain the difference in how important teamwork is in your tasks that you've been through? And then maybe elaborate a little bit about how it's all walks of life.
Yeah, so you guys all understand teamwork, right? You're all young adults. You understand you can't do something by yourself, no matter what it is. It doesn't matter if you're doing a play on offense or you're setting your teammate in volleyball. If you don't have a team to work with it, then you're no good. And it's the same in my world. So I was a sniper. And a sniper instructor. Remember, I never shot a gun when I went to SEAL training, so I learned the right way and got good at it. So my sniper element was 2 guys, and we just a lot of times did stuff by ourselves days in advance before the other people came in. And so if I didn't do my job, if I didn't recognize the threats or identify extraction zones or take that important shot that I had to take, then the guys coming in who had no idea where I was, for all intents and purposes, they would have gotten killed. So, yes, in my world, that old world, it was life and death sort of teamship and partnership, but it doesn't have to be life and death. They can do everything for you and your sister. They have to take care of the mom. You can have things to do with whatever sports you're at. It doesn't matter what sports. It doesn't have to be sports. it could be an academic partner, and you guys might be preparing to go to college, right? So that teamwork will help you get wherever you want to go. It's different for everybody. Teamwork's different for everybody, and that's okay. Some people just look at it different. I know I certainly got instilled in me very quickly with teamwork, how that could hurt me or help me. And I only have one request, please, is if any of you are recording, don't, because I did kind of get in trouble back in my other job. I share a lot of private and personal things here, and I talk about guys that might not be here anymore, so I want to make sure that I'm representing them in a forum that's we're all tribe here right now, right? We're all sharing the same sort of talk, and so it's one of my little rules is that, hey, just keep everything you hear from me to yourself, because it's what it should be, right? You should take away what I tell you to yourself. And you don't need to share it with anyone on social media or anything, what you might have heard. I'd rather you just keep it to yourself, because it makes it more important to me if you do. Sir?
What was your most dangerous mission?
Most dangerous mission? There's a lot to choose from on that. So it was Iraq. It was a really bad target, a lot of bad guys, and a lot of funny shit happened, excuse my language, on this dangerous mission. So we had to walk in about 10 miles to get to this target with our body armor, our helmets, and night vision goggles, and bullets, and guns, and radios. So it was a long hike. We started really early, and we didn't get there about 4 or 5 in the morning. And it was a bunch of Al-Qaeda, not just Iraqi resistance. It was full-on Al-Qaeda, Muslim extremists. And so we're nervous. My sniper team, we had to go in before everybody else and start climbing on top of the tallest buildings in the town. And which is not easy because they don't have houses like ours. They're kind of made of mud and stuff, so it's kind of hard to get a ladder up there and climb. And, but anyway, my buddy, he's my head sniper and my point man. I let him go first, right? He's a way better climber than me. So he's backing up a little bit, trying to get the hook, and he falls in a big pile of trash, right? A big old hole full of aluminum, recycled trash, and he makes about as much noise as an elk falling inside the freaking trash. And so I'm like, holy shit. Just woke everybody up. And so we're kind of laughing at him, even though it's a very serious mission. He's on his back, his lasers are flying everywhere, and his name is Jeff. I said, Jeff, get the hell out of there. So he gets out of there and he goes up, and boys come in with their explosive charges on 4 or 5 different buildings. All my snipers are in place, and then all hell breaks loose once the explosive charges go off. And again, teamwork, right? So because we were there early, and God, Jeff didn't screw us, we were able to save a lot of suicide bombers from going into the houses where my boys were, our brothers. And so I'm very proud of that, because our teamwork, like the gentleman asked for earlier, our teamwork came together. They didn't know I was up there. They didn't know what building we chose to climb. And the funny part of that is me and my buddy Chris, my best friend, he's one of the most decorated SEALs out there, or was. Silver Star, 7 Bronze Stars, Purple Heart. And so Chris and I are walking around this building with a night vision on and looking for more bad guys. But we're walking on something really spongy, like a wrestling mat. We couldn't figure out what it was because it was super dark. We didn't want to turn on our flashlights. And the sun started coming up. Finally, I couldn't handle it. I'm like, what are we doing? And so I look down and turn on my little red light, pull up this thing. So Chris and I have been walking on explosive suicide bomber explosives all night, with our hot brass casings flying all over it. So it had ball bearings in it, and it was explosives that suicide bombers might wear around them. And so him and I have been tromping around this crap all night long. So it's funny now. So him and I got off there pretty quick, and we went to a different building. We put some yellow tape around it, police tape, that tape, don't go in. That might have been the most dangerous, but again, very proud of that, saving my guys, because there were some bad people out there, and we were able to help with that. Yeah, good questions. I see some yawns out there, which is a good thing. It either means you guys had a long week, or I'm incredibly bored. I'm hoping it's the latter. Yes, sir?
Did you ever find the guy that told you no?
He passed away. But I had rehearsed a speech, and I kept it in my front pocket on an index card on what I was going to say to him. And I was going to hug him first, and I was going to really, really thank him. Because I think, and all of you in here have been told no for different jobs, whether it's a position on a team, it's all how you turn that around to your favor. Do you just say, oh, this sucks, and you go back and look at YouTube and Instagram? Or you just drive ahead and say, no, screw you, I'm going to go try again with someone else. I'm going to do this no matter what. So don't let anyone underestimate you. kind of my big theme, and this is it, I promise, I'm going to close with, don't let anyone underestimate you. Don't ever underestimate the person next to you. Give them a fair shake before you do, and never, never underestimate your opponent, right? And that's your everything from a team member to later on in your corporate world. Like, they're always out looking to take your job. So try to just remember that underestimated thing is a powerful tool, but it works both ways. That's a long and short of it. All right, I'm going to let you guys have a good weekend. I hope you guys have a good football weekend. Hope you win. Thank you so much.
Why do you like speaking with students about your story and your experiences? Because
no one ever did it for me. And I had to learn the hard way, and I didn't have anyone I didn't have a mentor. And so whenever I get a chance to talk with people that are very impressionable, especially this generation, because impressions sometimes are coming off social media instead of a mentor, and I don't think that's right. And so I pride myself in being able to send a message, a vague macro message that might resonate with one or two people. And so it's just challenging, so that's just been a goal of mine. Like, I'm going to let them have what I didn't get the opportunity to have. Because there's hundreds of thousands of kids in my same age bracket that didn't take the path, a successful path, because someone looked at them and made an assumption of what they could be. So I just took a different way when that person said no. I just said, you know what? I'm going to prove them wrong for the rest of my life, and I did. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was it.
Thank you.